My husband has asthma. I do not. He has had asthma since he was about 7 years old. I met him 19 years later. Yet somehow, last Sunday, on our way to meet some friends for drinks, he leans over to me in the back seat of the Grab and he says, "Hey, can I have my inhaler?" Now, on this particular Sunday, I'm wearing a brand new dress with pockets, so I'm not carrying my purse, the purse in which I usually keep a spare inhaler. So I look at my husband and I say, "Really? You're asking me if I'm carrying the medical device that you need to breathe?" And he responds calmly, "Yes, because I know you carry one, and so I don't." This absurdity has a name. It's called the mental load. Husbands expect their wives to do the invisible labor of organizing, managing, and planning so that their minds remain free to think, create, and conquer. Now, my husband, if you met him, you would think of him as the absent-minded professor type. Brilliant, but can often be found wandering around saying, "Where is mine? Where is my wallet? Where is my phone? Where is my inhaler?" And if he keeps it up, one of these days he might find himself saying, "Where is my wife?" Once we were all goddesses, the sacred feminine, the divine, Devi or Shakti. So vast and all-encompassing was the force of Shakti that we were embodied in the form of 64 yoginis. Yogini Akari, she who destroys. Yogini Sarvamukhi, she who can look in all directions. And Yogini Kamada, she who loves. How far we have fallen. Today, the phrase the sacred feminine is more likely to make you think of a tampon advertisement. And the yoginis that we are today are very different. Today we are Yogini Atkins, she who is perpetually on a diet. Yogini Brazilian, she whose body is completely relaxed. And Yogini Asthma, she who must always carry the spare inhaler in her purse. But these roles are based on lies that we have been taught our entire lives in many different ways. From the very first fairy tale, where the queen is immediately in competition with the princess to be the fairest of them all. Or even the Ramayana, where Sita must be protected from Meenakshi, who is evil, simply because she dared to desire Ram. When we were young girls, we were told that we are in competition with each other. So always dress a little bit better, speak a little bit softer, flirt a little bit harder to get the boy. Because, there's so few good men out there to marry. There are a finite number of seats on the board for a woman, and the world will only tolerate so many female-owned businesses. This scarcity feeds the myth that other women are the enemy. They're always the enemy. If a woman is caught talking to your man, she is a threat. It doesn't matter if your man looks like the wrong end of a doll. The woman, she is the enemy. That is the narrative. But when I was 17 years old, my parents got divorced. My father made his choices and remarried. But it was my mother's response that changed the narrative for me. At a point when the entire world was expecting her to have anger at this other woman, my mother showed me there was another way. My mother, who remains the most inspiring woman in my life, had the grace and confidence to recognize the value and worth of another woman. Her marriage had ended. There was nothing to be gained in vilifying my stepmother, and so she embraced my stepmother. And all of our lives are richer for it. Today we are an extended but happy family, and I'm very grateful to my mother for teaching me this lesson. That there is nothing to lose and everything to gain in not making an enemy of a woman simply because the world expects you to. But the scarcity is real. Every year Forbes publishes a list of the richest in Singapore. Last year, one woman on the list. Of course, as individuals, money should not be everything. But as a political class, money is power. And until we have equal economic success, we will never have equal power. This is why we need to have more female CEOs. We need to have more female entrepreneurs. We need to have more female billionaires. And let me remind you, Oprah Winfrey gave away cars. Elon Musk makes you pay for them. The truth is, we will never succeed if all of us want to be the only woman on the rich list. We need to work together to get more of us on that list. And when we get there, we need to pull more of us up. Now, my husband. My husband will take a shower, dry himself off, and leave the towel on the floor in a little heap at the foot of the bed. He does this every day. I will walk into the room, see the towel, pick it up, and hang it up to dry. Every single day. Until one day, I just snapped. I walked in and I said, "Why do you leave the towel on the floor? It's damp when it's on the floor." And he looks at me and he responds almost immediately, "Because it doesn't bother me." Before I could even respond, he says, "But hey, if it bothers you, you should hang it up." I have to confess, in this moment, I found myself thinking, what about stabbing you? Does that bother you? Because I have to confess, it doesn't bother me. But don't worry, I didn't stab my husband. He is one of the great loves of my life. So I married this man who has an affinity for damp towels for some reason. And I moved to Sri Lanka, where he is from, and began building a life together. But it was actually the woman of his life, his mother and his sister, that helped make it a home. We bonded over my husband's amazing ability to turn on and off his hearing, like every man can. And every time he and I got into a fight, he always took my side. They too flipped the narrative, that of the typical mother-in-law and sister-in-law. They too are amongst the great loves of my life. Because the past 36 years of my life has showed me there is a lot of strength and support to be gained in falling in love with the woman in your life, to value them, cherish them, and prioritize them in a way that we have only been taught to do with our boyfriends and husbands. When I look at my life, women have only empowered me. In my early 20s, it was my friend Nancy who encouraged me to dream a little bit bigger and apply for my master's at an Ivy League. Before I left for New York, I bought an insurance policy, believing that I was supporting my friend Vijita as she embarked on her career. I was young, I saw myself as invincible, immortal. But a year later, when I was diagnosed with breast cancer, the support that I offered her became my lifeline. My doctor was a woman who held my hand when I was 26 and on chemotherapy, and she was there for me again 9 years later when the cancer came back. In my business, I built a communications agency that went on to become one of the fastest growing companies in Singapore. And all of that success began with the support of my friend Julie. And I'm on the stage here today because of a woman, Rani, whose commitment to the sisterhood has changed so many women's lives. All of these women are amongst the great loves of my life. And all of these women are the reason that I know we must unlearn the lies that we have been told. We must leave the damn towel on the floor for the men to pick up and take our girlfriends out to dinner instead. Because other women are not the enemy. Other women are what we need. We must honor the legacy of Shakti.